Um, this is a work in progress to a project I just calling the Puffy launch. Like an avalanche of puffies coming to you, be scared. OpenBSD rolling all over the places. The final proceedings will be likely ready for BSDCan in Ottawa, where the talk is accepted already, and I hope the code follows the schedule.
Like you said, a motivator.
Yeah, right. It's more like a pressure valve. Right. So what is this project actually solving? What's needed for it? What do we have already by either external resources or the stuff I am doing? How do we combine it? And how do we use auto-install feature from OpenBSD to well, support the case of having many OpenBSD installations, either VM or physical ones. So what I'm putting together is our OpenBSD VMM system. Mike Larkin was talking about it already. And on the other hand, I'm using Vagrant, which is a framework and a tool where you can have an abstract configuration of your virtual machine setup, especially the internetworking as well, and how to combine it with provisioning systems like Chef, Ansible, Puppet, whatever you're going to do with it. And the nice thing is, after it's working, you can have very simple configuration files, which aren't really configuration files, but snippets of Ruby code. And a user pursuing a VM setup using Vagrant doesn't have to understand any of the configuration of the actual hypervisor or provider in case. So it just says, I want a VM with 2 GB of RAM, this and that networking, 20 gig of disk, and off we go. And it is, for him, no difference if the provider is VirtualBox or VMM or VMware or even something like Amazon Cloud or Google Computing Engine. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you can pick that Vagrant file and run it under completely different operating systems as well. So not only the provider is opaque, but also the operating system. And that allows me to sit on the plane or the subway and work on provisioning setups, being as large as like we need 120 VMs in a special networking case. I can completely develop and test it on the laptop, pick that configuration and put it out into production with physical machines. Which also means if I have those machines out there created with Vagrant and our provisioning system, and I'm running into functional troubles with those machines, or a networking setup or whatever, I can re-provision the same setup on my laptop and work on the solution of it. And after a patch or configuration, a new configuration has been found that is working, I can roll out it into production and have fully tested deployment into production, and it will most likely work. So that's the start. You have a Vagrant file. That's the red box, like defining an installation server. You can create that one from an install.iso and just work through the typical OpenBSD installer, which means like 7 times hitting enter, and then setting up your TFTP server, your HTTP, and provide some auto install bits, and off you go. But it would be probably a better idea to even automate that one and make an image. You're just booting and creating that image would be like, for example, with Packer. So there are 2 machines that can be provisioned directly from that Bootstrapper VM, and to have a better view about how this would happen in reality, where the install server might not be on the same switch as the physical machines that will be installed. You can even simulate that, and then you have to run, for example, a proxy and a DHC relay on Puffy 2 to install that 2-AIM VM. For the point being, that would be like the developer number 1, like me, only working on OpenBSD machine here. But as said, Vagrant has a nice feature that, given enough capabilities, other developers could run the same setup, for example, on that OS X laptop or a Debian machine or whatever. That's already pretty nice, because it's not like everybody has to run OS X or everybody has to run FreeBSD or OpenBSD or whatever. You can share the effort between different people's preferences on their laptop machine. So when it becomes really interesting is if you're pushing this out of plain virtualization. And that's configurable by a Vagrant as well, but you could also break out the, I have not painted that down here. If you would auto-provision the installer VM already, you could do that as well with a physical machine. And then using the exact same setup as before to install physical machines in the data center, whatever. So in the end, what is the whole thing capable of doing? I'm planning to get like 20 physical machines. I will map out a Vagrant file representing the targeted architecture. Test all the setup, all the auto-install options you might want to have, because some servers will be a firewall, the other will be web servers, application servers, database, all that stuff. And you can work on the whole setup, being on the road or at home or whatever. And after you have really tested that, well, break out to reality and install the real machines. And if you bootstrap the bootstrapper in a virtualized machine first, and then bootstrap a physical bootstrap server from the virtualized machine, you're able to do that like you're flying to that remote data center, and a pallet of those services are rolling in. And then you can just bootstrap that whole pallet into your Rackspace. You don't even need internet access at that moment. You can still make a complete setup with that. And I've proven that already. So, yeah, confidence in rollouts, that's the whole thing. And I said in the beginning, you can do that retrospective. So, after some time, a machine, a switch, or whatever is failing, just rerun the Vagrant file on your laptop, so you're getting back the same environment, fix the bug, and then roll it out. So that's what we need for all that. OpenBSD, of course. the Vagrant core. I think everybody knows what Vagrant is actually, or maybe not. More or less a piece of Ruby loading plugins. And any extension to Vagrant is done by our plugins. Even the whole thing of Vagrant itself, it's more or less maybe 5% core, and the rest of it is plugins. First you need a host plugin that Vagrant realizes it is running under OpenBSD. That's written already. The other thing is, it needs to be taught about how do I deal with that hypervisor and its steering components. Like in this case, this would be how to write out a vm.conf, or how do I start vmctl with the appropriate options to get the desired state defined in the Vagrant file. And that provider plugin is likely in work. Given that vmctl and vmd is still under heavy development, I have to adapt that over the time. Especially the new -L option is something to look into. Also, the ever-evolving switch ecosystem is difficult to look after, because like you have a solution for whatever desired state, and then the next snapshot is coming along and it's upside down. Like when that auto-provisioning was removed 2 months ago or something, or 3 months already, of the switch setup, well, then you have to restart a bit. Same goes for the auto installer, or the installer itself as a whole from OpenBSD. Yeah, it's constantly adding features or changing or removing some of them. And to get even complex cases of a complete setup, you have to understand what the installer is doing under the hood. And there's a lot of it. If you're using the installer just so, it looks quite easy, but it can do pretty magic things. But there's stuff missing, like there's no software support yet, or anything else you would have to do with the machine that should be run before, for example, the root disk is chosen. I don't know if I have time to add that, or if there's someone else working on that. I was talking about it already. So, as said, the host detection plugin is already done. That's not that difficult as well, but it was a good ground to start understanding the build ecosystem of Vagrant and Ruby. Didn't know any Ruby before that. Now I regret it maybe. It's not that bad. The Vagrant code itself is pretty well laid out, and it's not that easy to find not that difficult to find your way through it. Auto installer features and concepts is a bit more tricky. You really have to read the code and its shell script, of course. 3,000 lines of it.
Yes!
Yeah, it's but there has been several rounds of cleanup and consistency adaptations. So if you get a grip of it, how the installer is reading its configuration file, if it gets one, is being harmonized, and so once you have understood that, it's pretty easy to go through it. Yeah, using different install confs depending which machine is asking for it is a thing. TFTP can now give different answers, provided on the base of its IP address. You can use disk table templates from remote. For example, a firewall and a database server most likely will want to have different partitioning table. Also, you can have multiple set sources. That's a bit hidden in the logic of the thing, but the key would be like the official package sets are coming from an official mirror, and your site-specific sets are coming from a local server or wherever, where you have some other controller about that. And how to do more or less post-install provisioning whatever shell script or what you have and put that into the install.site. So that's already about it. I said, I hope the working prototype is finished by the presentation in Ottawa in June. Thanks to my workplace to provide me some time to work on it. We will be using it for us too. Kickoff of that project was happening in Glarus in Switzerland. Very nice location with a very interesting concept of having a data center without cooling. If you want to read about that, see here. The host plugin and my previous talks and whatever are all on GitHub. If you look at it, you will see last update was 3 months ago, exactly in Glarus, but there's more to come. I just forget pushing to GitHub because I'm using it locally. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions? Probably. Wow.
Are there Vagrant users in the room? There's one, there's some.
I owe you links.
Any questions for them?
Do you think I'm crazy with doing that, or do you run all your installations always, or VM setups all by hand, or?
Sean has an opinion on everything.
Is that?
Not true. Sorry, no problem.
No, the motivation is really to have a physical world and a virtualized world and bring those together, and that's pretty cool. The same goes like we want to test something, maybe the laptop is too small to run it, so okay, we have a setup here, run it in Rackspace or Amazon Cloud, and after it's working, just re-push it through the laptop as an install server to a physical install server and run it into, or advance it into a physical rack. Saving money. Amazon can be quite expensive if you need a lot of node crunching or something like that. So the thing is, you won't be starting to install those physical machines by hand or something. And of course, that will be always different than the Amazon thing. And here, the meta description of Vagrant will allow you to run it either there or in your real environment. Okay.
Well, thank you.